Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to February's Southall Matters meeting. I apologise, it should have been held last week, but due to ill health, we needed to postpone it. But there's lots to discuss, lots of campaigning going on in Southall pertaining to Southall Post Office. And we have Joe Bangu, who's the chair of Cash on the call, and he'll be discussing what's going on and keeping us up to date. And I'm sure as we go along in the meeting, there'll be other topics which are controversial we will discuss as well. So can I hand over to you, Joe, to bring us up to speed on what's happening?
Good evening. It's been hard work, giving up your Saturday mornings for the last 6-7 weeks. But Angela, if we did not get involved, this is how this all panned out. Minnie, as you know, she went to the post office. She met this gentleman. His name's Gary. He comes all the way from Basildon. And he was standing there trying to get a petition going. And Minnie contacted me and told me that, obviously, Gary's not bilingual. He can't speak any other language, I think, anyway, apart from English. So we all got involved, and then we were there every Saturday, and we started giving people notice of actually what's happening. A lot of people don't even know. I mean, they were using the post office, and they didn't know that it's, the authorities are saying they want to shut it down on the 6th of March. And then, of course, Desi Radio, they've been very helpful. And, the wider community were explained, that this vital service on the Broadway they are planning to close it down on the 6th of March. Now, what they're saying is, in their defense, they're saying in November and December, they were contacted by 88 people regarding the post office. Now, we all know from the years that we've been involved in Southall that not everybody's on the computer. You with me? Not everybody has access to find out, what's happening locally. So that's why we started the petition, and it's been tremendous. It's gone to the Prime Minister's office. It's been delivered to the Prime Minister's office, and tomorrow they're going to the head office of the post office in London. Now, hopefully, fingers crossed, they might have a change of heart. But it was very disappointing because I'm not sure if we've got 18 councillors in Southall or 20 councillors, including the MP and etc. and the GLA member. But the effort by our politicians certainly hasn't been there. They would come, take a photograph, and then they're gone. They won't stand there and talk to the public and then get a petition signed, etc. But I was hoping that we'd have 20 odd councillors there, because it's a concern for everybody, not just for the residents. It's going to affect the councillors as well. But it was shameful, because councillors living locally, they were nowhere to be seen. And after the meeting that we held at the Dominion Centre, Mark came, I believe it is Mark from Norwood Green. He came to help one Saturday morning. But
Mark who?
It is Mark, isn't it? John Mark?
John, Southall? Is it John Martin? I think
John Martin. Beg your pardon.
Yeah, Norwood Green, yeah.
John Martin came on one Saturday to help us. But the effort is not there.
Yeah.
We vote for people to be, these politicians are supposed to be our voice.
Mm-hmm.
But the sad thing in Southall, I've been seeing for over 20 years now, since I've been going to meetings, etc. And they don't represent us. They don't represent us. And that's the sad part of it. And they're out of touch. And I'm asking myself now the question, are they also out of date? is it? Because where's our democracy? This is a question I say time and time again. Where's our democracy? If these people are not there, they're not voted in to represent us, the residents of Southall, then what is their goal? What is the end game that they're involved in? Because they're not standing with us. I mean, you've seen over the years that we've been complaining or campaigning and complaining, by the way,
Yeah.
regarding the gasworks, and they haven't stood with us, you know, because they feel that, you know, they're special. They're not normal residents. So basically, they come knocking on our door for our vote. We give them the vote. They grab the stick, and they're using the stick against us. They're not there because the post office is for everybody in Southall. You can't say it's for one race, not for another race. It affects all of us. I don't want to go somewhere else. You know,
I think it's
why
the
should
thin end of the wedge. Because was it you, Joe, who said to me that eventually the banks will go in Southall?
Yes,
Yeah.
because they've gone in other towns. They've gone in other towns.
Yeah.
Once I believe if and I hope it doesn't, if the post office closes, the people who are visiting Southall on a Saturday morning that we see, and this is happening with, you know, the 6 days that the post office is open. So it does bring people into Southall. And
most definitely. I mean, I can say that I had to apply for a photo card license, and my local post office in Western Road didn't do that service, so I had to go to Southall Broadway. Now, judging by how difficult it is to get to Hounslow and Hanwell in terms of traffic and congestion, both of those options would have been, you know, not ideal unless I wanted to allocate half a day of my time back and forth from those locations. And what I want to ask you, how many councillors turned up to your protest? Was it a couple of weeks ago? Sorry, weeks ago, a couple of Saturdays ago, outside of the town hall?
That was the march from Southall Post Office, and it ended up at Southall Town Hall. I would estimate about four councillors.
That's poor, isn't it? Really poor.
But that was a photo opportunity. They weren't standing there and taking getting a petition signed. That was a photo opportunity, and we let them. You know, we you see, in the Asian community, Angela, we're always, from childhood, we're taught to show respect for our elders. So we just all stood aside and we let them carry on with it, because they didn't represent. I don't think they represent the people of Southall no more.
No,
I'm sorry,
not at all. Not at all.
I would say the borough.
Yeah,
because
well, as you know, Southall Labour don't even have CLP meetings, do they? I mean, you should know because you're a member of the party.
Last time Dr. Sahota was on Desi Radio, I think he said in his interview that we've had, the last one I think was in 2019. So
shameful. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's shameful. But where are these decisions being held? Where are these meetings being held? And, you know, they brought in new councillors. So how were they chosen? You know? That's a question to ask. And I have been asking the question. You know, what experience do the new councillors have? They're nowhere to be seen. I mean, we've got one councillor supposed to be covering South or West Ward, which is my ward.
Yeah.
And the only time that we see her at is when she's roaming around with the developers, taking pictures, going to dinners, etc.
Yeah.
So my question was, and I said this, is she voted in by Berkeley Group? Or is she voted in by the residents of Southall? And she certainly is not representing us. because if she cannot come down on Saturday morning to Southall Post Office to help us with the petition, then we're basically doing their work for them and they're getting paid for them.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll all like to give up their wages or whatever they call it, something else, don't they?
Allowances.
Allowances, yeah. So, maybe they should all be giving up their allowances. Because
Yeah,
they're certainly
they're all hopeless.
They're not stepping up for the residents.
See, my gut feeling is if the consultation on the post office was, say, early in 2023, you wouldn't see these councillors, albeit only 4 of them or 5 of them, turn up, outside the post office and at the town hall. They would have no interest whatsoever. It's just electioneering at the end of the day, as you say, to get a photo opportunity and then to appear to be being with the people and understanding how devastating the closure of the post office is going to be. This time last year, they wouldn't have given 2 hoots about it. Arjun, I want to bring you in because you've got an elderly grandparent, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah.
What are your views on the potential closure of the post office, which is only around the corner, isn't it, in March?
Well, this was just yesterday, actually, and I was just speaking to her about it because we were in Southall Broadway because we were going back and forth to solicitors for various legal reasons. And we were just talking about that. And she said, where am I going to go? I'm like, I know. I just couldn't say anything because there's nothing to say. Because she goes to Southall Broadway for banking. She goes to that post office when it's open. When she's in Southall Broadway, she goes to that post office. She even went to that post office yesterday for something. And she said it's in a certain, and she's not, obviously she's not going to be tech savvy and all that. So
yeah.
So
I'm assuming she wouldn't have known about the online consultation to object to the plan to close. And, I'm assuming your grandmother, correct me if I'm wrong, probably isn't somebody who goes online and knows exactly how to access, documents and petitions and consultations, etc.
Yeah, no, what it is, she relies on us to do a lot of that stuff for her, online sort of stuff. So my family just gets on with it. But, but she loves to be independent because she's out almost every morning, every day. She's active and she's 84 and she's active. She's going around everywhere.
Yeah.
It just gives her something to do, something like, to get her out. And then, otherwise it's
yeah.
I can't really say anything else, Angela.
Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
I can't say anything else because it's difficult.
Yeah.
Difficult, and I don't really use that post office myself, so I can't really comment. But because I do it I'm online because I know everything online. But for someone like her, 84, who has to rely in person, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do occasionally use the post office on Western Road, and it's probably not widely known that they're not open all day. They shut between 1 and 2 for lunch. Because I turned up one day, oblivious to that information, around about 1:10. It was shut, and then I had to return home and wait for them to reopen at 2 p.m. Whereas the Crown Post Office, as far as where it doesn't close for lunch, it's open, for business hours. I guess from about sort of 9:30 onwards till about 5. Although I don't know the precise hours, but it's not going to close for lunch.
What I've noticed is the one on Western Road closes at 1 o'clock and never opens again for the rest of the day.
Really?
I've seen them do that. They go home about 2 o'clock and never come back.
That's bad. That is really bad, isn't it?
And
so that's not, a service reflective of customers' needs. It's shocking, really. And when you look at Southall, so many of our amenities are being shut down or, you know, have closed down. And it's just kind of like chipping away at the amenities and infrastructure you would expect to find in a so-called town. You know, we are referred to as a town by Ealing Council, and it's shocking. You know, we don't have a community centre. That was sold off a few years ago, and you know, that became a banqueting suite, and a plan has been submitted to build flats on that site. But because it's, you know, quite a large development, the planning application was referred to the mayor, and his comments at stage one is that there was no affordable housing, which is a big no, and also the plan was only for a single story staircase, which you know, is again not acceptable. So it'd be interesting, you know, to know if the developer has revised their financial viability assessment, you know, whether it's still realistic for them to redevelop that site. But for me, it's all about greed because of the Elizabeth line. And, you know, you mentioned, I think at the last meeting, that you turned up at Southall Station and it was temporarily closed because the platform or platforms were, you know, becoming overfull to the point, I guess, that, you know, health and safety would be compromised. And I can see more of that happening if the population of Southall is being expanded, or, you know, overexpanded really. And yeah, so it's disheartening to see, you know, we've lost the community centre. Southall Sports Centre, which was effectively like a community hub, because people would meet their friends there to work out, you know, have a sauna. I remember in the past I took my kids to children's birthday parties there. We've lost that facility. And my daughter goes to karate lessons at Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. And thankfully, because it's early on a Saturday morning, there is very little traffic. If the classes took place, say, on a Saturday afternoon, there's no way I would entertain going to Dormers Wells from, you know, from where I live. But I don't know if you've seen that sports centre. It's like a relic. It's dilapidated. I went along there with somebody who was a wheelchair user, and we did the journey on a 105 bus. And anyway, disembarked the bus. It was easy to cross the road. The access road, we went down on the pavement, got to the end of the pavement. There was no dropped curb. So we had to turn back round, walk to the beginning of the road, and actually go down the road, which again is a bit of a risk, but that was the only way for him to access Dormers Wells Leisure Centre. And he was quite interested in sort of cardiovascular equipment, and that's upstairs. You know, there's no lift, and basically it was a wholly unsuitable leisure centre for him. I mean, it's grim. It looks as though, I don't know whether it's built in the 1960s or 70s, but it reminds me of facilities when I was growing up. You know, it needs really demolishing and rebuilding. But when, you know, I look at kind of like the heart of Southall, you know, in between kind of like UB1, UB2, you know, we are, you know, it's just limited. And I think we're beginning to see the impact of that. There are newcomers to Southall. And there's one particular newcomer, and they posted on Facebook that they're lonely and they're isolated, and are reaching out for ideas as to what they can do. So people responded and said there's Let's Go Southall, also Open Southall, which operate out of the Green Quarter. But you know, by and large, it's hard to find activities and facilities that really meet the need of the community. And I've always said we need a community centre which is not dominated by religion, it's secular. So people feel comfortable coming together, whether they've got religion or no religion, and where we can interact and do various activities. And it's just, to me, criminal that we've got the manor house and that lies empty and it's not used. And we've always struggled as a campaign group to find somewhere for us to meet in person. It's, you know, and I can see more and more people moving to the area, realizing there's not much going on, and feeling socially isolated. I think that person coming out and saying, this is how I feel, you know, what can I do in Southall? It's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
you know, because Arjen, what we've spoken about in the past is how we go to other areas for our leisure. You know, you talk about you go to Kingston.
Today, and I got so bored of the places I'm going to, I went farther out today. I got on the central Elizabeth line. I went all to the other side of London. Basically, I went to the east end of London today, just because I'm so bored and sick and tired of, you know, being at home and then going out to the same places again. I actually went out to places like Thamesmead, Bromley, where else? I went Croydon, and looking at and going to those other places. Thamesmead has nothing.
Yeah.
Thamesmead only has a leisure centre, and it's just a little tiny little area with a leisure centre in it. No shopping facilities for the elderly. Well, they have to go walk through. I think they have to walk through a leisure centre to get through the back, and then we go to places like. And then I went to places like Croydon, and Croydon's got a lot of shops. Croydon's got a big shopping centre, you know, and you know, it's got Croydon. It's even got little tiny little restaurants like a Burger King, McDonald's, a Subway, Greg's, everything that you can think of. Croydon has it, and it took me an hour and 45 minutes to get there today. So it was an hour and 45 minutes worth of travelling worth spent.
Yeah, and it shows we're heading that way when you describe Thamesmead, you know, as being, you know, having kind of like obviously residences, but not the facilities or very limited facilities for the residents. And, you know, I can see the Green Quarter heading that way.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say there was small greengrocers on the site. I was on the site a couple of weeks ago and I noticed that particular shop, which sold mostly non-perishable foods. It was, I think, designated a farm shop. But, you know, there are no farms close to where we live in Southall. But anyway, that's by the by. It's shut. And it looks as though the shop's been, you know, ripped out. And I think it was only open maybe for about a year, not that long. I can see the coffee shop going that way, to be honest. It won't be long. Give it another year max. I don't see how the operator can cover their costs, because whenever I've been there, you know, you're lucky if there's one other customer. And it's the same for the guy who owns the business where he's got a lovely display of artwork and books and skateboards. I honestly don't know. Is there sufficient footfall for him, you know, to actually operate profitably? Yeah. Again, I think, you know, it's all about making Barclay Group look good. And as though, you know, there is sort of provision for the residents. But I honestly think, you know, it won't be long before these ventures realise actually, even if I've had a discount on the rent of the unit, I'm not making any money. I can't pay the bills, and they're going to shut up shop. Yeah, I was on the site, Arjan and Joe, about a couple of weeks ago, before the half-term break, and I met three trainee journalists from City University. And we did sort of, wander around the site, and then they decided to interview me very close to where you can see construction work going on. So there's a hoarding. So kind of like I could smell the odour walking by the hoarding down to the footpath. And there was some seating there, so we sat down. And the smell was absolutely revolting, a mixture of tar and petrol combined. I'm surprised if residents don't complain about it. It was potent, yeah. And even the three young women who I was with, they noticed it. Anyway, I arrived home and I could feel it in my throat and my chest,
Yeah.
Proper irritated. And I shared that on the Cash Facebook group. And there was somebody who said, my children are ill, and my youngest child was referred to Hillingdon Hospital, and they have been prescribed an asthma inhaler. And they also said, I regret moving to the Green Quarter. And again, I think that's the tip of the iceberg, because how many other families with children are now finding that their youngsters have respiratory difficulties and they're referred, to Hillingdon Hospital or Ealing, or even, the GP prescribes an asthma inhaler to manage the symptoms.
It's not just kids, it's more the elderly as well. Like I said in past meetings, my dad's mum, so my one of my grandmas, she wears a mask to help her breathe during the night. Otherwise, she kind of collapses, and that's it. She's done. She loses it. She stops breathing, and that kind of concerns me because she's 84. She's having that mask on, and then she's breathing in this toxic air. And she's actually been through the Green Quarter, and she had to quickly get out of there. She thought, oh, let me go to the Green Quarter. I said, Dudley. So Dudley says, like, my dad's mum. So that's, we call Dudley in Punjabi. So I was like, Grandma, don't go in there. Come back out because it's toxic.
Oh yeah.
Air. And she said, she still went out, and then she said, you're right, I'm coming out of there.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel for your grandmother,
and
because anybody who's got breathing difficulties, chances are, if they go to Parkside Yards, and that's where I've smelt it, not just where they are doing the construction works, it's going to affect their breathing, because whatever we are inhaling is an irritant to the throat and the chest. It's horrible. Yeah, and I'm going to ask you, Arjan, because you're very analytical and you're young. Bartley Group have submitted a planning application. It was submitted back in October to increase the number of homes on the site from 3,750 to 8,100. In November, the 3 sensors, air quality sensors surrounding the site, were closed.
Those nodes that stopped working, I think it was, wasn't it?
No, they've closed them. They've been closed. So, I have asked the question more than once in a direct letter to Councillor Deirdre Costigan, and also on social media. Why? It's looking very suspicious, very fishy to me. Bartley Group submits an application to expand the site, and a month or so later, the sensors, which coincidentally were funded until 2027 as part of Ealing Council's Air Quality Action Plan, were closed. You know,
Oh,
I think as
wasn't they
a
not
community
supposed to be
group.
open until 2027?
Sorry, say that again.
They were supposed to be open until 2027.
That's right. Yeah. At least
And then you
yeah,
can,
until 2027.
it's like a 5-year sort of cycle where they keep them open for 5 years or something.
Yeah, but why don't they? You know, we keep being told about being transparent. Why hasn't Councillor Costigan responded to my question about what is the timeline for reopening these centres? Yeah. You know, and that's primary over, well, why were they closed in the first place?
That's really
You
disheartening.
know, I'm interested in when are you going to reopen them? Because I know from the Breathe London air quality node, close to where I live, we have some, you know, spikes in both nitrogen dioxide and PM 2.5. And air quality has to be of concern to all of us because it is an invisible killer. And so many in our community are suffering with respiratory conditions, but also type 2 diabetes, which is increasingly being linked to air pollution. And, you know, I want the politicians to be honest and straightforward and answer the question. I mean, I've had dealings, Arjen, both with Ealing Council and Hounslow Council in relation to air quality monitoring. And I've found the interaction with Hounslow Council much more fruitful, less encumbered with barriers, far more responsive than Ealing Council. Yet they're both Labour councillors. So both Labour councils. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Arjen.
I feel like, you know, Ealing Council, you know, they come across as right, I don't know how to put it. Should we say abrupt? I don't know if that's like the right word, and they come across like or rude or whatever. Like they're rude and really abrupt, and you know they're really stern with what they say. And then I've personally met the leader of both Ealing and Hounslow. I can say the Hounslow is much better in terms of, you know, straight to the point. He doesn't talk nonsense. And when I went to that meeting in Hanwell, was it back in October? No, sorry, was it October? November, I think it was.
What, Virendra Sharma's meeting?
Yeah, he does a. Joe was there at Hanwell, and Peter Mason just went babbling on.
Yeah.
Hounslow is just like straight to the point, done.
Yeah. I mean, that leads on nicely to the Young Persons Forum organised by Virendra Sharma's office. Originally, it was supposed to be held in Dormers Wells High School. It's been moved to Percival House in Ealing. Do you know why, Arjun? Did you receive an email to explain the change of venue?
Give me a minute. I can try and get that. I'll get that up.
But, you know, the point I want to make is that it's going to disadvantage people who live in Southall, you know, in the most poorest and disadvantaged wards, who are going to struggle to get to Ealing. And as a consequence, that is a barrier. And I wonder if it's actually deliberate. There is actually a member of Cash, and I had a chat with him last night, a young person who falls into that category. And he's been told by Mr. Sharma's office that he's barred from that meeting, that he hasn't complied with the terms and conditions. And that's because he is outspoken on Palestine and what's happening. And, you know, is critical of the politicians. But I don't believe that he's been slanderous in any way. It's shameful that a young person who I consider to be, like yourself, Arjan, a campaigner, a champion of the community where they live, to be blocked from a forum which is, you know, for his age range.
For me, I don't go into like deep into this political stuff, or not political stuff, but things like what's happening in Gaza and Ukraine, because I I really panic and stress. I do have sympathy for both Ukraine and Gaza and what they're going through. And yes, you know, what Russia and, you know, Israel are doing is wrong. Don't get me wrong, but I don't delve into things that deep. Otherwise, I suffer really, really bad anxiety. I just like to I like to keep up with it from time to time. I don't really delve into it as much as some people do. So yeah, you know, but
But the
yeah,
point I'm trying to make, you know, he's entitled
and
to put
everybody's
his
entitled to
views
their
and
own
opinions
opinion.
respectfully without slandering anybody,
Yeah,
without breaking the law in any way. But because he chooses to have a platform on social media, he's barred from the meeting. And to me, that is just wholly unacceptable.
it doesn't say anything. Going back to the youth parliament, there's nothing here that says about why he's changed it.
Mm.
Prob Probably it's because of school. The school have said something, you know, that he has had to change it. Something gone. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate about it, but I think really, as the MP, he should have been transparent and shared. I mean, he's quite prolific on Twitter. The reason for the change of location, you know, a simple explanation would have hopefully been sufficient.
Can
Yeah.
I move on to the while I'm here? Can I just quickly move on to the Elizabeth line quick?
Yeah, please.
So I found a Word PDF document for 2023 to 2024
Mm-hmm.
where it's the amount of complaints that they have received, that they have responded to in regards to Elizabeth, and the average response time for responding to complaints for period 2 from the 30th of April 2023 to the 27th of May 2023 took a week. A week and a half, well, 5.36 days. The most shocking one here is the summer period between the 23rd of July 2023 to the 19th of July 2023, where it took the period 2 took 7.18 days, and then followed by period 5, which is the summer, 23rd of June last year to 19th of August last year. That was 7.03 days. Period 7, leading towards the end of the year, the Halloween season, from the 17th of September to the 14th of October, took 7.54 days. And then period 4 of the 25th of June 2023 to the 22nd of June 2023, 6.5 days. So getting what I'm trying to get here is complaints are not being dealt with in more of a in the 3 working days that they say will on the confirmation that they got the email. They say in 3 working days. When I complained about the Piccadilly line, next day they're on the case. But with the Elizabeth line, because it's a different company, which is it's not which is being so the Elizabeth line's going to be bought out by another company. I'm still waiting for the results, so to see who's bought it. So the company MTR, who currently run the Elizabeth line, decided to sell it to another company. Well, they got 5 companies. So hopefully, by the new operator, we should see a swift improvement in terms of punctuality, which is So the punctuality, 92.5% of trains arrived at the destination within 5 minutes between April 2022, which is wrong, which should be the May 2022 when it opened, to 31st of March last year. 90% of trains arrived at the destination between 3 minutes, and 3.1% of trains were cancelled.
Yeah.
The amount of the top 5 complaint categories were the service performance, attitude of the station staff, built environment, service information and publicity, and accident and safety and security. Service performance had the most at 344 complaints.
Hmm.
And like today was a different another example. We were sitting at West Ealing and we had a power outage. So we were stuck because of the high winds. We had high winds, so it took out the power. Fair enough.
Which direction were you travelling in?
Abbey Wood,
Towards Paddington
Central.
or towards Southall?
London. Because I was going to Abbey Wood, wasn't I, to go 10?
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's
Hmm.
yeah, you know, and surprisingly, Southall wasn't as crowded today at 8:30 in the morning than what it normally is.
Yeah, but I'm so glad, Arjen, that I don't have to travel regularly on the Elizabeth line, because on the few occasions that I have done so, I can recollect a couple of times that I was affected by cancellations, and yeah, so I thought to myself, thank God I don't commute into central London anymore, and haven't done so for years. And I can only imagine how frustrating it is for people who've been lured to Southall by the promise of quick journey times to Bond Street and beyond, only to discover what you've discovered, you know, outages, cancellations, being delayed. I remember reading about a young woman who was travelling from Paddington, and I believe it took her an hour and a half, something ridiculous, to get to Southall. But actually, I was on Nextdoor Neighbours, which is a social media site. I don't know if you know about it, Arjan. Joe, do you know about it? Well, Sadiq Khan has shared that he had a meeting with Network Rail yesterday to discuss all the issues that you have raised, Arjan. So seems a bit sort of contradictory, really. He says the Elizabeth line has been transformational, but recent performance has been below the high standards when it opened. So from the go-get, it's been problematic. So he says, I've been absolutely clear with Network Rail and TfL that the issues we have seen over the last 6 months are not acceptable. I am pleased that they have brought forward a comprehensive plan to resolve the problems on the line and will continue to hold them to account. And he's actually linked, I guess the information about the plan is in an article by the Evening Standard, but I didn't have time to read that. So maybe, you know, the change of operator that you've referred to, Arjan, is part of it. But yeah, we shall see.
Also, I found a report somewhere about the central line, which has ongoing disruption for the next. It's going to have ongoing disruption for the next 3.5 years. Because what they're doing,
grim.
what they're doing on the central, is that they are experiencing a higher than normal rates of motor failure. After more than 30 years in operation, despite the engineers working hard to keep them in good operating condition. So they are working hard to identify a solution and get the train safely back into service. They are increasing the rate at which we can repair, which reduce the number of trains out of service for other age-related reasons. So
Arjan, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
You're a bit faint.
Can you hear me now?
Bit better, but you're still a bit faint. So let me just turn up my volume. What's on the maximum? Yeah, I mean, the thing is that the central line, I mean, obviously, you know, in order to access that, we'd either have to get on the Elizabeth line or catch a bus from Southall Broadway. And, you know, it shows really the challenges that commuters have to encounter. So they may be feeling, well, actually, I've moved further out where property's a little bit cheaper because it's out in the suburbs. But they've got one hell of a journey to get to work.
Can you hear me okay, Angela?
Just about, although you're failing, just about.
Hold on, what I'll do, I'll come back into the meeting.
Okay. Joe, I had not a great experience travelling to Hillingdon Hospital by bus. It was reasonable, fairly reasonable to get there, but I returned during
there we go.
Kind of like, hi Arjan. Yeah, I've moved on from the Central Line to a terrible journey. Actually, it wasn't on the way, to be fair, it wasn't on the way to Hillingdon Hospital, but on the return journey. So from my home, you need to get the 195 and then the U4, which terminates in Uxbridge. So I was fine getting the U4 and got to, what did I get off? I either got off in Hayes Town or, no, I got off at Hayes and Harlington Station. Yeah, I got on the bus that had to wait ages for a 195 there. You know, every other bus number turned up, but the 195, eventually a 195 turned up. It was fairly full. You know, we turned left, I can't remember the road, but anyway, heading towards, you know, Balls Bridge. The bus was rammed. And then you've got people on the bus with suitcases in the aisle, you know, it's really hard to get past. Anyway, this bus,
Old Station Road, Angela, that's what it's called.
Thank you, Station Road. It was so packed. Anyway, I had this young girl, you know, it was obviously, you know, people get the bus to and from school with their children. So I had this primary school age child next to me. So I could see she wanted to get off the bus. So I said, do you want to get off the bus? So I pulled up at the stop. So I managed to allow her to, you know, depart her seat. But the aisle was actually so full, she was struggling to get to her father, who was further down the bus. And he was like ringing the bell like crazy to stop the bus driver driving away. And it was just awful, you know. And I thought to myself, thank God I don't have to do this journey on a regular basis. But by and large, I do try to use the bus if I'm going to Hayes or Hounslow. But there are times it crosses my mind, I think, God, it's just so hideously overpacked and it's difficult to get a seat. You know, I'd rather travel by car. And, you know, I think in order for public transport to be much more attractive, particularly for journeys where, you know, the only route is by bus, the bus routes have to be improved, either more frequent services or double deckers. But the 195, I don't know if you ever travelled on the 195, is hideous. Yeah. It's so bad.
It's like in Thamesmead, you have a bus every 2 to 3 minutes. Every 2 to 3 minutes or 3 to 5 minutes, you get a bus that comes. Any bus you ask for, 2 to 5 minutes. And then in Southall, we get a bus every 13 minutes, every 15 minutes. The 195 has actually had a timetable change to run every 12 to 13 minutes, because of Brentford apparently. When there's nothing going on in Brentford, because I have to travel when I go from university, I have to go from Ealing to Brentford, and because there's 2 different campuses, so I get the free shuttle bus, and there's nothing wrong there.
I once had to catch the 195. My car failed its MOT, and in those days I started work at 8:30. I had to leave home at 7 o'clock to get to work in time for 8:30 at Brentford. I only just about made it in time for my 8:30 start. You know, practically door to door, it was an hour and a half. And I again thought, thank God I don't have to do this on a regular basis.
It's like yesterday we were in the solicitor. We went to a solicitor in Southall Broadway. He had to be there at 11 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 1 o'clock. Bang on 1 o'clock. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got seen. So I had to leave at 11:45, 11:30, because we got the the traffic lights near Southall train station.
Oh yeah. Two
It
sets of traffic
causes
lights.
it causes traffic all the way back up into King Street.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, Merrick Road was closed because they were doing roadworks, and everybody was going around into King Street. That bus 427s going into King Street, going around the back onto Merrick Road, following the 120. So we waste. I told her, glad we wasted 45 minutes. I'm glad we left at 11:30 yesterday.
I'm sorry, apologies. What time was your appointment?
1 o'clock.
Yeah, I know. It's
did
just
that
ridiculous
because
amount of time. And you're just
I don't-
travelling within Southall. You're not going to Greenford. You're not going to Hamwell. You're not going to Hounslow. It's madness. Absolute madness.
I don't care if we get there early. I don't care. What if whatever. As long as we get there before 1 o'clock, because it was a really important. It was a really important appointment, and luckily, thankfully, gratefully, we got seen early. But it shouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the conditions of vehicles are so bad as it is anyway. You on the 195 and the 427s and 207s, you don't know where the bus is going or what route it is because it doesn't work.
Oh yeah. Or they terminate early, and you're just chucked off the bus to wait for the bus behind.
It's more about the money, Angela.
Yeah. But I mean, there was one evening I used my vehicle. My daughter attended the Jack Petrie Award ceremony at Greenford Hall. And I think, Emma, what time did it start? Was it 7:30 or 7 o'clock?
It's normally 7:30. 7:30.
Oh no, it wasn't 7. I think it might have been 7 o'clock actually. So we left home at 6:10. And from my home in Old Southall to get to Mansell Road in Greenford via Lady Margaret Road, I would say took me about 40 to 45 minutes. I was shocked because that surely is no more than 3 miles from where I live. It was ridiculous. The worst part of the traffic was along Southall Green up to the junction by Bartley Group's marketing suite. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And I tend to go because on my foot I can't walk because I injured my foot last year, so it's not really healed properly. So it hurts sometimes, and I would prefer if I sat on the bus one stop, go Park Avenue and go to the station on the bus one stop, because just for my sake of my foot. But at the moment I tend to walk it because I've got no choice.
Yeah. What, you walk from home?
Yeah, I have to walk from home to get there for 9 o'clock. Because on Western Road you got traffic because of Featherstone school kids at 8:30 in the morning, right? And then you're stuck in traffic. You're sat there for about 20 minutes not moving while they all cross the road to get to the school on time. And then you got the green that's stuck in traffic. Where we're sat in traffic.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard about very tragic accident happened on Friday night.
Yeah,
a young boy
was
run over by a lorry on King Street, and my heart goes out to the young boy and his family. Yeah, very, very sad. And when I look at where I live, the number of lorries, because it's basically an access route for the industrial estates on Brent Road and Johnson Street and Balfour Road. And it's absolutely ridiculous to see the number of lorries. And it's probably going to get worse because the Sugar Puff factory site has applied for planning permission to be a logistics centre. That to me is absolutely ridiculous. And Joe, do you remember when we went to the local plan meeting at the Manor House about a year ago, I think? And I think we were the only ones, me, you, and Ray from Southall, or certainly not very many people from Southall. It was dominated by people from Hanwell and Ealing. Well, anyway, I mentioned that particular site to Steve Barton, you know, the head honcho for planning. And he said it wouldn't be a good idea. And he would object to a planning application for the reasons I've said. You know, when you look at the exit routes to the A312 and M4, obviously one of the arterial routes is Western Road. That is chock-a-block at times. And you've also got the lorries and vans exiting along Brent Road. I think, to me, that would be absolutely ludicrous to have a logistics centre there. Because when you look at the other places where you've got logistics centres, in Feltham, right by the A312, you don't have the same level of congestion that we experience in Southall.
Angela, they're not going to get far. They're not going to get far.
Yeah.
All they're going to be doing is sitting in traffic.
And then they'll realise time is money, and they'll relocate to, you know, one of these other industrial estates.
Western Road is blocked at the moment. King Street is blocked. The Green is blocked.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's ill thought. The person who's agreeing, you know, to build a logistics centre has to think twice about this, because his vehicles are not going to be going anywhere. They're just going to be traffic.
Yeah, and then if you think the alternative route to the A312 involves going down South Road and then a left onto the Broadway, that is chock-a-block at times, you know.
But then he'd be sitting on the Uxbridge Road near Wicks, or before Wicks. I turn left.
Yeah.
Out of one of the streets on south of Broadway, and it's absolute mad.
Yeah.
So nobody's worrying about this.
Yeah.
The 312 is blocked.
Yeah.
The bypass is blocked.
Bypass, yeah.
And yeah, it's blocked. Regularly is blocked.
And the link road to Pump Lane, that's not opening anytime soon, is it?
Well, I spoke to Mr. Jackson Gira, and he told me, you know, if we open it, all people are going to do is go and throw their rubbish there. So I think they'll probably wait till, you know, the development's finished, or they're not going to open it any day soon. That's what I got off him. Yeah. But it's just ridiculous, because the area, and I've always said this since 2010, Southall can't cope. South is at cracking point at the moment. Yep. It's chaos everywhere. Last week, maybe Wednesday, I was walking my dog, and I had to do something on the Broadway, and I thought I'll take my dog along that way. The amount of people, Angela. The amount of people. Go down South Road, go outside Liberty Centre. People waiting on bus stops. You can't walk through them. Yeah. You know. And they've done it to us, basically. They've done it. They've ruined Southall. I speak to people in the Green Quarter, and they say we're just moving out. We can't hack this no more. What are the reasons they are sharing with you for wanting to move on? Well, first of all, there's nothing here, and secondly, the rents. The rents are sky high. Yeah. People purchasing and then renting the flats out at ridiculous amounts that people can't afford. Yeah. And then certain people complaining that there's too many people, you know, in places, because it's ridiculous. I mean, I'll tell you a story that I was speaking to a couple of gents last night, and this is what they told me. And they're students, these guys are. What they're saying is that one person goes to the estate agent, he rents the house, okay? He then subs the house out to other people,
Yeah.
okay? And then all they're interested in is the £50 notes.
Yeah.
5 people in rooms, 6 people in rooms. It's shameful. You know, it is absolute shameful. And we are doing something about this. You'll find, I can tell you maybe in about a week's time how we're going to go about this. I was ashamed to hear what they were telling me last night. And it's our own people doing this to our own people. It's shameful.
Greed, isn't it? Absolute greed. But yet you see there are people all the time on the, Nextdoor Neighbours and to a certain extent Facebook, and they're saying, I need a room. I'm looking for a room. So there's, a huge demand for housing, but people can only afford a room, and they're even prepared to share a room with somebody they don't know.
But Angela, where's the limit? When do we say enough is enough? How dare people say to tenants, no heating?
What?
Exactly. No heating. Can't use the kitchen. These people have no shame. They have no morals.
I don't care. I don't care.
It's horrible just to listen to people.
Exploitation of the poorest, the most disadvantaged, who will put up and shut up.
It's
Yeah.
shameful.
Yeah. Okay. I just need to take a 2-minute comfort break. But Joe, can you talk to Arjun about Southall Football Club and bring us up to speed? I'll be back in a minute.
Yeah, hold on, I need to go as well. We're waiting until Angela gets back.
Arjun, have you come across a petition? Somebody's been talking to me about a petition.
For what?
Somebody's organised a petition regarding Southall Football Club.
Is it something to do with Warren Farm or something? Joe?
They couldn't fill me in, but they told me that somebody had stopped them and asked them to sign a petition regarding Southall Football Club.
No, I haven't come across.
When I questioned this gentleman further, he couldn't tell me if it was regarding Warren Farm or anything further. But they're at it. They're at it.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Angela, nobody seems to know about this petition.
Yeah.
Regarding Southall Football Club.
It's not being spread.
Yeah, but everything in Southall gets done on the sly, you see.
Yeah.
They're not.
So this is a petition for the football club to be relocated onto Warren Farm?
I can't say, Angela, because the gentleman who signed the petition, he could not tell me. He couldn't answer that question. Because I did ask him, where did they say this petition regarding where does Southall Football Club go? And he said, they just said to me, it's for Southall Football Club. So if anybody knows about this, I would like to know. Because we live here.
Anything.
We live here, we're the residents. And once again, this is happening behind the residents' backs. Without being, they're not being transparent with it. So I would like to know, if somebody does know, please contact us of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if there's a petition, we like to know for where. Is it Warren Farm? because we would like Southall Football Club to be at Spikesbridge Park, where it's local.
Absolutely.
And
easily
even the
accessible as well.
yes, and the schools, all the schools in Southall could use that as well.
Yeah.
And it would be a very busy hub for Southall.
Yeah.
Taking it all the way down Tento Lane or Sign Lane or Windmill Road, it's ridiculous. It's too far away from Southall, number one, and it's not an easy place to get to.
Yeah.
So in the heart
Ealing
of Southall,
Council have released a video, and Peter Mason is in this video today regarding Warren Farm. So the plan is not to build the sports pitches on Warren Farm, but on the land owned by Imperial College instead. So yeah, Peter Mason and Deirdre Costigan and the other council for Hanwell, I forget her name, but they seem quite pleased with themselves. But it'd be interesting to see what the response is of the Warren Farm campaigners.
You know, that's still going to harm the wildlife sitting there because it's near Warren Farm, isn't it?
So I said it again, Arjun?
Isn't that near the Warren Farm itself anyway?
I think it's adjacent land. But then, you know, I think a bit disingenuous to say it's for the people of Hanwell and Southall. But for the reasons that Joe said, it's very difficult and awkward to get to that site down Tenterlow Lane. You know, there's no public transport down Tenterlow Lane. And there needs to be honesty that if you live in Old Southall and you don't have a vehicle, you won't be going to the land on Imperial College, you know, sports pitches there. You know, it's inaccessible.
We're still waiting for the I'm still waiting to hear about the extension to the E1 bus down there.
Yeah.
But they're not moving along with the idea. They've closed the consultation off about a year ago. They're still looking at the feedback. But I don't know how long it's taking for a year. But they should be getting on the roll. But what I think they're doing now is they're waiting until it moves bus operator in April.
But no bus is going to be able to go over 3 bridges. So I don't know what route they would take. And then even along Tenterlow Lane, you know, how are they going to raise revenue?
It's gonna get rerouted completely.
Yeah.
It's gonna have it through it's gonna be extended through Southall, I think. So we're gonna get an easier connections possibly that way. But
yeah, I don't know. But I think it's just unrealistic
bad idea
target and say this, you know, this is a win for the people of Hanwell and Southall. Certainly
it's not a win
for Southall where we live in Southall, Joe and Arjan, you know.
It's certainly not a win for Southall, for the simple fact is that we have open spaces.
Yeah.
Spikesbridge is a lovely park.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of space there.
Yeah.
So we don't have to go land grabbing somewhere else. So I would prefer that they use Spikesbridge.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space there for football.
Yeah.
I
mean, there already is football there. London Tigers play there. I used to go on a walk around on a Saturday morning. They've got all sorts of classes for young children there. You know, they've got football pitches.
So what's the problem? If they've already got football going on there, so what's the problem?
Yeah.
I don't see any difficulty.
Yeah, and it's much more easily accessible by bus.
For everybody.
Yeah.
For everybody.
Yeah,
there's parking there, etc. So no,
yeah.
I think
very popular. You know, if you go there on a Saturday morning, the number of parents you see with their kids turning up to play football. But I'm not hopeful regarding you know, even if pitches are installed at, you know, the Imperial College Land, based on how Ealing Council have really, they haven't maintained Southall Rec. Do you know the Rec is heaving in the summertime with people playing cricket? Yeah.
You know the amount of
And the facilities there are very non-existent. Yeah.
yeah,
Don't have any toilets. People go to toilet in the bushes. Lack of suitable bins. But yeah, this is where people will go to, because from where I live, it's walking distance. You've got, you know, it's boundaried by houses apart from along the canal. Yeah, you're not going to see people with their big bags of, you know, with their bats and their cricket whites, etc., attempting to get to Tenterlow Lane and then onto, you know, Imperial College's sports facilities. I'm just not seeing it.
That area is far too busy, Angela, and very dangerous. If you see the company that manufactures food for the superstores, you know, like
What, Noon?
and Tesco.
Noon?
Yes, yes. If
Yeah.
you see the way they put the lorries on the main road,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. It's very dangerous place that is.
Yeah.
Ideal for having children roaming around there.
Yeah. But you're right, these facilities need to be in the heart of where, you know, the people who are least able to access the facilities, and their children need to have access to good sporting facilities, which currently is not the case. Yeah,
the council
and I agree. You know, there needs to be pressure put on.
The council needs to take this into consideration.
Yeah.
Okay, it's too industrialized. That area is too industrialized. Yeah, it's not a place where you want to see children crossing the roads.
Yeah.
Okay, look what happened in King Street.
Yeah.
And King Street, I would really know. I would like to really know the outcome of that accident.
Yeah.
It's very sad that
Yeah. Unfortunately, the young boy passed.
Did the child cross the road while the lights were green? Did the lorry have
no idea?
Did the lorry have the right of way?
We can only speculate, and that the information hasn't been shared in the public arena. But whatever the cause, you know, a young boy has lost his life.
Because lorries have a blind spot on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it's unfortunate and very sad. Yeah, and I feel sympathy with the family. If you go and stand past the Iron Bridge and look to your right-hand side where you can see Windmill Road, and just stand there for 5-10 minutes, and you'll see the Uxbridge Road, the traffic, how heavy it is.
Yeah.
You'll see how heavy the traffic is down Windmill Road. Even Tenterlow Lane is crazy. I've driven around.
I know it. I came back this way, so that way from work, and it was backed up, and it's a very narrow, windy lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the most dangerous thing is to mix public and especially youth.
Yeah.
Yeah. With traffic.
Yeah.
Because all you need is a couple of lads playing chicken with each other. I dare you, and that's it. You know, you'll have a casualty. And when you've already got open space, and I said this when we went.
That's right. Spikes Bridge would be preferable. I
said this when we went to the town hall, and you know the councillors were looking at us, staring at us as if you know we just landed from the moon, because they don't understand common sense, and that's the problem.
Yeah. And can I just share something somebody's written in response to this video, where Peter Mason's very pleased with himself, grinning away at this deal with Imperial College to use that site for football pitches. And somebody said, Ealing Council, so corrupt, just want to look after Virendra Sharma's son and hand over the nature reserve for Southall Football Club. There's no transport infrastructure to support this.
100%.
It would be chaos pushing traffic onto the 3 bridges. Southall
you.
Football Club, which plays at Robert Parker Stadium in Stanwell, is owned by Sanjeev Sharma, son of Labour MP for Ealing Southall, Virendra Sharma. Mr. Sharma has been very supportive to see Southall Football Club grow, with some suggesting a Sharma Stadium is trying to be pushed through despite residents not wanting it at Warren Farm. Yeah. So
Well,
it's not at all transparent as to what the plan is for Southall Football Club, is it?
we know how Ealing Council runs, Angela. We've got first-hand experience. The leader of Ealing Council taking sponsorship of Barclay Group. That's the one that he admitted. How many more are they? How many more are there?
Yeah.
That's the question.
Do you know what I've just found out? Do you know what I've just found out? Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
All of Warren Farm will be rewilded and protected by a video put up by Ealing Council only a couple of hours ago.
Well,
yeah, this is the video. Yeah, hot off the press. So as I said, it'd be interesting to see what the Warren Farm campaigners, what their response is to that.
I can save them a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
The park is already there. It's got green grass on it. Okay. And it's a lovely place to have Southall Football Club, and that is Spikes Bridge Park.
Yeah.
Everything else is all ridiculous, and there's no need for all this. And Peter Mason, Mr. Sharma, it's about time that you showed some regard and respect for the children, the youth of Southall, and we don't have to play these games. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, it's a land grab. That's the way I look at this. But let's just see how the people of Ealing feel.
Exactly. Let's see how they respond to Peter Mason's latest video message.
I'm one of those, Angela.
Yeah.
Town hall of Ealing.
Yeah. By the way, it looks like Peter Mason has joined Nextdoor Neighbours, and instead of using his name that he's known by in the public arena, Peter Mason, somebody called Elijah Jonathan has joined Nextdoor Neighbours, and those names are his middle names. And as you know, Nextdoor Neighbours divided into geographical areas. So, Joe, if you remember, you probably belong to Southall Broadway. Arjun and I belong to Old Southall. So he's joined Old Southall. And if it is him, why not be transparent and go by the names that you are known as in the public eye?
That. Remember, I was speaking to you about that, and he was saying, and I was saying to you, he's probably spying on us residents to see, see what how crap, like the crap we're talking about him and all that.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. I think it's just an intelligence gathering tactic, really, to see, as you say, what people are talking about, ranging from, as all the issues we've talked about tonight. And then when they're doing their door knocking, they are in an advantageous position to say, this is what we're doing about X, Y, and Z. This is what you've been complaining about. We know about it, and this is what we're doing about it.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, people have woken up. People are educated. They understand what has been happening and is happening at the moment. So far as I'm concerned, they got to work very hard, and they're out basically. They're out of touch with the residents. They're out of touch with the public. It's all me, what I can do for myself, me and my friends. Everybody understands what's going on. Everybody
I
understands.
think when you look at the aggressive overdevelopment of Southall and how really it isn't going to benefit future generations who, despite perhaps getting the best qualifications, are not going to be in a position to afford one of these leasehold flats. And even if they were in that position, there are no amenities for them. You know, if they want to go to the cinema, they're going to have to go to Hounslow or Ealing or Shepherd's Bush. If they want to go bowling, they have to go to Heathrow Airport Bowl or 10-pin bowling in Feltham.
Basically, Angela,
this is what we're finding.
Anything that we want to do, like we like doing, is not in Southall.
No. You're young, Arjun. What is there for you in Southall to do if you want to hang out with your friends?
Just the park. That's it, really. There's a
just
park.
The park. Yeah.
That's it. There's nothing else here. Just like it's just like all we have on Southall Broadway is restaurants, solicitors, banks, Indian suit shops, and the Greggs. That's it. There's nothing in Ealing, and then we got Southall Park. The nearest place that I can think of is Ealing Broadway, but even Ealing Broadway's got nothing. But me, I go to the University of West London on I've forgotten Warwick Road. So in Warwick Road near Ealing, Ealing Broadway, and I just don't want to go out anywhere. But I just don't want to leave the uni during my break. Because
in the end, it'll be all roads lead to Westfield.
Huh?
All roads lead to Westfield. If you want to do shopping.
Yeah, but then thing is, Angela, it takes an hour to get there and only have an hour's break.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't even go out to Westfield. But even Ealing Broadway Centre's rubbish. It's like it's got all the shops for the old people, the elderly people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it is poor. I mean, I'll be honest, Joe and Arjun. I don't shop on Southall Broadway, and the reason for that is because the length of time it takes to get there. If I leave at a certain time, I've got the dreaded experience of trying to either walk or take the bus along Southall Green, which is a nightmare. And it's actually easier and more convenient for me to go in the opposite direction. And if I want to go to, say, NatWest Bank, I go to Hayes. I spend far more time accessing services and facilities in Hayes. I used to take my kids, Botwell Green Leisure Centre?
Yeah.
To take them swimming there.
I used to go Northolt. I used to go to Northolt Leisure Centre for swimming lessons. I used to go to Slough for swimming lessons, and because there's nothing here. And I used to leave Slough also covered up in with a shirt and my wet trunks on. Used to come home and have a shower.
Yeah, it's absolutely dire, that we have to go so far. I mean, I turned up at Dormers Wells Leisure Centre to inquire about swimming, and this was on a Saturday, and the earliest available public swimming was Saturday tea time. I thought, this is ridiculous. This is the time I need to be at home prepping food for dinner, and that's the earliest time for public swimming. It's crazy. But yeah, you'll find on a weekend, the kids will go to probably Ealing Broadway. Well, sometimes we'll even go to Uxbridge, because at least there's parking at the Chime Shopping Centre. Hounslow, quite often, because it's one bus ride away on the H32. But quite honestly, trying to get from my place along the Green down to the Broadway is like hell. And that's not because I don't want to support local businesses. Yeah.
Yes, I think I try my best. I try my best to support local businesses that, you know, I think are worthy of support, who are doing things for like a great cause.
Mm.
And but thing is, accessing them if they're in Southall isn't proving to be impossible. We know why. We know what how are we going to go about fixing this? Because we're talking about this we're talking about this every meeting. Oh, there's traffic because of this, but we I'm struggling on how to deal with it. I'm struggling thinking of ways to fix it. You know, what's the plan? What's the plan going forward? What do we need to do to get things rolling? If you get what I mean. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
I
can
think
all
I'd like
we
to
can
see,
talk.
you said the
We can,
195 runs every 13 minutes. I'd
yeah.
like to see it because that is a major route connecting Brentford, Ealing, so Brentford, Hanwell, Southall, and Hayes. Yeah, that
Mm.
needs to be far more frequent because it's only a single decker. Yeah, and that to me would make it a much more attractive proposition to use that service more regularly. The services have to meet the needs of the community that is being served. And for me, it's ridiculous that I have to allow an hour and a half to arrive on time for an appointment at Hillingdon Hospital. But also, I think we have to wake up the community that if we keep voting for Virendra Sharma, our needs are not going to be served. Yeah.
Okay.
He's I don't know. I mean, to me, he's just like a figurehead, really. And I think eventually it will happen because of his age, but also because of changing demographics in Southall. And even people of your age range are waking up to the fact that this guy doesn't speak very good English. Yeah.
Mm.
He lacks the ability to really be at the cut and thrust of politics in the House of Commons. Yeah, I've seen him ask a question, and the minister responding just went to town on him because he speaks so poorly. So I think the younger generation have to think about, well, why should we vote for somebody who struggles to communicate effectively is overly reliant upon his office staff? He can barely string a sentence together unless he is reading a script. It's time for change.
Probably
Sorry if I sound harsh, but that is how I feel.
it's probably that Dominic guy that writes his script for him.
Oh yeah, Dominic Moffat. Yeah.
He's a nasty piece of work.
Yeah.
Especially when I was at that Hanwell meeting last in October. And the way he spoke to me, giving me attitude, I really did not like that. I really did not like that. I do not. Yeah, for me, if I speak respectfully and I don't get respected back, it doesn't set right with me. And I put him in his place last in the next meeting we had. I said what he did was unacceptable.
What was his attitude towards you? Can you be a bit more descriptive?
It was just really, really aggressive and really rude, pointing fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the next meeting we had in was it December? Or I don't remember when the last meeting was with him. Whenever that was, he just shrugged it off as if he didn't care.
Well, I think that's the bottom line. He doesn't care. And the only way you'd start to care if there was a real threat to Virendra
His job.
Sharma.
Or
Yeah,
his job.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts on how we can effect change or try to influence change?
I think we need to speak to higher up people, like a director or manager or whatever. Because what I found is I kind of get improvement through doing that.
Mm.
So I let's take I'm going to use the H32 as an example here,
Yeah,
where I complained directly to the manager. Manager took it back, fed it back, and I've seen teeny tiny improvement. Not a lot
yeah,
because the service is still the same, but I can
yeah.
see that the drivers are more punctual, getting there on time, leaving on time,
Mm.
getting to the other end on time.
Mm.
And I feel like, well, for me, instead of going through TFL, that's the way it works for me.
Mm.
So it's just, I think we need to speak to somebody who's higher up, have a meeting, like arrange a phone call or something like that. Well, because for me that works.
Yeah, I think yeah, definitely we should never rule out engaging with people who are in a position to influence decision making and policy making.
Like now.
But I mean, I have to say, we need more people. It can't just be me, Joe, you, Arjan, because that level of campaigning sucks the life out of you. Yeah, it is totally draining. So my thoughts are we need to have more people on board who are willing to play an active role, not just a small handful. And the people who are in power think, well, they're not representative of the wider population. And, I mean, I can give you example. I had a meeting yesterday with two public health professionals from Ealing Council. And it was about the health determinants research collaboration. And I thought this is brilliant. I can request that there is research to ascertain the level of asthma on the Green Quarter. And what they explained is that the HDRC is building research capacity, and that's what they've been funded for. They don't have funding for research, so that was a bit of a downer. But
that's to be
and I think
expected.
by the time that's they've established their research capacity, I'd question whether by the time I'm 60 whether I would have the energy or the inclination to try and influence Ealing Council applying to fund research into asthma, for example.
Well, I've got a few things that I want to speak about in terms of raising awareness on what we're facing in Southall.
Mm.
You know about this because I spoke to you about it, but I'm working with an organisation who don't work in Southall, but I support their work. They're called Heston West Big Local, run by Tad Verdi. So they meet up in Cranford Community College a couple of times a month,
Mm-hmm.
and they do things like they're doing things like a film club and stuff like that. So what they decide to do is they want to raise awareness on how a disabled person travels on a bus, what it was facing the difficulties, and what we're planning to do is to send it to Hounslow Council, Ealing Council, the Mayor of London, Transport for London, and, you know, creating awareness that way. So that can be another way. If you think about it, that can be another way of, you know, saying, you know, filming what we find difficult and posting on social media. That will get the word out there, and then hopefully, and if we, you know, we can send it to whoever, even though we know that for us as members of Cash, it's not, they're not going to listen, so they're going to completely ignore it. But that's something we can do.
I think that's a brilliant initiative, because some of the learners that I work with use wheelchairs, and it is definitely an eye-opener to travel with them by bus to see all the barriers that they encounter. And I know, obviously, we know of one young man who lives in Southall.
Yeah, I'm working on him. I'm working with
and
him
the difficulties that he's experienced, and making short films and sharing those can have a profound impact. So I support, if you know, if there's anything I can do to help your project, I'm more than happy to.
Not at the moment. We're going to start working on it on the 4th of March. But I will let you know if we need anything. But what we're doing is we can't really film on the bus with people, so I'm going to try and get hire a bus out just for filming.
Can I just say, depending on the timing, use this as an opportunity to engage with Bassem Mahfouz, who's the Labour candidate for the GLA in Ealing and Hillingdon, and other GLA candidates, because they'll have a certain time set aside to engage with voters. And I'm guessing that's probably in April. And they're going to be much more attuned to listening to you because they want the votes.
Yeah, the election's around the corner.
Yeah. And again, we will have to do the same as Cash. So when the local council elections took place, I can't remember when it was it a couple of years ago? You know, we had meetings with virtually all the candidates. And
Uncle Sahota came, and Wally Alexander a few months ago.
Yeah,
I missed that one because I was off ill.
But yeah, but Dr. Sahota has been deselected, so he's basically yesterday's man. Focus on Bassem Mahfouz. So I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but Joe's had informal engagement with him. So yeah.
Yeah, and so they've got a YouTube channel, and what we're planning to do is I've got a few contacts, so I'm gonna think about hiring a bus out, or you know, because it needs to be like one of them accessible wheelchair ramps, or like what you get on the bus.
Yeah.
So,
and it proves really there's a lack of sort of opportunities for this young man who lives in Southall, that he's still going to Heston and Hounslow for, you know, activities such as Heston, is it Heston Big Local?
Heston West Big Local, yeah.
Yeah, Heston West Big Local, because we don't have comparative sort of voluntary groups. And I went with him to Southall Community Alliance, and there was nothing available for him to do, really. You know, he was referred to Let's Go Southall, but those activities are predominantly outdoors.
Is he going to ride a bicycle?
I don't yeah, exactly. You know, there needs to be a wide range of activities, and also indoor activities, because when it's pissing down with rain, who's exercising in Southall Park? Please tell me.
Talking about Let's Go Southall, has your daughter received her bicycle?
No, nothing. Not heard a thing.
When did she
And
pass, in October last year?
April, it's coming up. It's coming up for a year. Yeah, April will be a
So
year.
she's waiting nearly a year for a bicycle.
Yeah. She's done the
I
training.
wonder how they're
Person I know-
spending. I wonder how they're spending the funds.
Shipping bikes to Ukraine, maybe. I don't know.
I would really like to know how they're spending the funds. While we're on the subject of politics,
Yeah.
do you remember when we went to Mr. Sharma's office,
Oh yeah.
Angela? Do you remember how many steps there were to get to his office? Was it 45 or 35?
I don't know. I've only ever been to his office once, and that's because somebody said he owes me a favor. So as a result of that, I was able to see him, but it was up some steep steps. Yes, I do remember.
So how are disabled people supposed to go to his nest? That's what I call it. I call it the nest.
No idea.
How are disabled people, how are elderly people supposed to go to his office? That is the joke.
Yeah.
That is the joke of the century. And
Does
he's been getting away with it.
Does he go to their homes? Because years ago, I remember a former colleague telling me that John McDonnell actually visits people in their homes. So he may well go and visit constituents who are not able to access his office upstairs.
Mr. Sidney Bidwell.
Oh yeah.
He was an excellent Labour Party MP in Southall. He would come to your house at 11 o'clock in the evening. At night, he would come to your house.
Really?
He used to live locally to where I live.
Okay.
And
genuine person.
100%. Now, talking about what's happening in the community. Arjun, Angela, and everybody else who watches this film or listens to this, your eyes will only open if you spend time out there with the public, with the residents. They're very upset. They're very upset and they're very angry. And you really have to be out there to understand what's happening locally, how people feel. They feel betrayed. Our politicians are not working for us.
And neglected and ignored and marginalized. 100%. Yeah.
100%. You were talking, Arjun, you were talking about Dominic, or you were talking about Peter Mason. They're always right. And we're the ones, the residents are the ones who are in the wrong all the time. It's only 3 or 4 people in the politics of our borough who have more sense than us. It's absolute degrading what's going on. And you're talking about the gasworks, Angela. The politics around our area, or the politics that's surrounding us, unfortunately, they wear you out, they wear you down.
Yeah.
And
suck the life out of you.
They suck the oxygen out of you, basically. But they're mistaken, and they've got some shocks coming their way. There's some serious issues. There's a lot of upset people. There's a lot of residents that are upset. And
what are the main issues that they are telling you about on the street?
Well, people are saying they're not going to vote for Labour. They want an independent candidate to stand as MP of Southall. And the councillors are going to get a run for their money as well. They better put some cotton wool in their ears when they go door knocking.
I don't think they'll knock on my door. I remember last time I said, "I'll come and speak to David lives around the corner, so come and speak to David." Yes. And I literally ran down Scott's Road.
For the past 21 years I've been living in this town, right? I have never ever seen Labour I've never ever seen the Conservatives come to my door. I've never seen Labour come to my door. Lib Dems, or the Greens. None of them will come Greenland Crescent. In 21 years I've been alive, never seen them.
Where is your councillor, by the way, Mr. Dinser? We haven't seen or heard anything of him.
I haven't
Is he-
either. I
I
haven't
Is
saw
he
seen
still
him.
there?
I saw him one day,
Is he still in
and he was
Southall?
he was in his car, his electric car. It's a
Oh,
few
nice
weeks
one.
ago, and he was
Yep.
turning right onto Durley Road from Western Road, and he was in the
Oh.
car. I presume his wife, or certainly there was a female passenger in the front and a youngish child in the back of the car. So he's around, definitely.
All right.
He's probably
Yeah.
Very
he's
quiet.
probably
But not
alive and
obviously
living well.
not. Yeah, very quiet. Not. It doesn't say much because I suppose effectively, unless you're in the cabinet, you don't have to do much as a councillor. They certainly don't turn up to their surgeries on a Friday, the last Friday of the month.
Angela,
don't
It's a
have to.
nice way. Listen, he's
question-
retired, isn't he? The allowances is great. It tops up the old pension, doesn't it?
Well, Angela, do they hold surgeries?
That's what I was going to ask.
Well,
what I
I
was gonna ask.
turned up. I turned up
don't
to
think
see
it-
them.
Uh-huh.
And they didn't turn. This is their surgeries supposedly held at the Dominion Centre, and this is the second time it's happened. Nobody turned up, so I doubt it because they're arrogant. They don't think that they should serve the public. Yeah.
The question comes to mind. Why do they actually become councillors if they have nothing to give in return? If they don't want to work for the residents, then what the heck is going on here?
But
I mean, some
because
councillors,
money.
we've had some,
it's the
we've had-
status,
we've had
Status,
some
money.
money.
We've had some councillors who've been around here for 30 years.
Yeah, attempting to intimidate council officers.
What the heck is going on?
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
Yeah.
It's a disgrace.
Well, didn't you tell me
It's
about
shameful.
one councillor and he was wearing his Merrill chain on a flight to India?
Oh,
It
they
looks
had to go and
good.
show them. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Impress the relatives back home.
Of course. We've conquered England. We've conquered England.
They're in it for them. They're in it for themselves and for the power that they feel they have with that role. Whether it's obtaining a nice table at your local restaurant, or doing something for a local business person. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. I was told that one of the councillors, they're seeing going into people's homes, people who submitted planning applications and that kind of thing.
Well, my dad's put a planning application in for my next door house that he rents out.
Oh yeah.
Have later, and you just literally said to me right now that they're coming into people's houses to look at them. He hasn't even come here yet. There's no councillor, nobody's come to my dad's next door rental house. Because he's put an application in because he wants to make it into like flats. So it's like a shared kitchen with a
Do
flat.
your family support the application or do they object?
Well, my dad's the one. My dad owns that house.
Oh, okay.
So he's put it in.
Yeah.
And it's been approved by the council, but they haven't come to look at it.
Speak to the architect.
Yeah.
Speak to the architect.
Well, I will.
But they're very good. I'll say that much for you. They're very good.
Yeah. No, because
they know about the council and the planning department and what is needed to be done.
Because my dad was asking because he expected a meeting from them a couple of months ago. They haven't turned up. So
a meeting from who?
A
meeting from who?
Oh, well, they didn't say who it was. I think I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Planning officer.
Planning. I think so. Planning officer. Had a name as well, but
has the planning permission been given?
Yeah, it's been granted.
Okay. Yeah. So
So
now
what,
you
building
speak
control?
to well, you don't have to speak to nobody, I don't think, because all that happens now is if you've got the planning permission, speak to your architect. Ask your father to speak with the architect. Okay?
I will. Yeah.
Your father doesn't have to chase anybody. Okay? So tell him not to worry, all right? He doesn't have to contact anybody.
Okay,
You just
good.
speak to your architect, because that's your point of contact, is your architect.
Yeah.
Okay, and his point of contact is the planning department. That's how it works. You paid for a service. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So you need to chase your architect. All right.
Yeah. See, that's something new.
That's how.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
So they're
how.
very
That's
well
how.
acquainted with planning departments and
Of course,
yeah.
they're professionals. They're professionals. That's their job
But also,
anyway.
yeah, I don't know how long planning permission lasts. Was it 3 years?
5 years, I thought.
5. I think he's got it. My dad's got it for 5.
For 5 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
you must start.
Yeah.
We must start the work within 5 years. Otherwise, you've got to start all over again.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are you actually? What are you actually building, Arjun?
My
What is
dad
your
wants to
father?
build it. He wants to build it into he wants to build I think it's 3 flats and a shared kitchen. I think shared kitchenette and
Oh,
bathroom.
he wants to convert the house.
Convert the house. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to bring in more lodgers into Southall.
Yeah. 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 That's,
No beds and
really,
sheds.
so
Arjun?
really,
yeah, I
Angela,
think
so really, Southall is becoming, just for lodgings. That's all Southall's becoming, isn't it?
Well, we don't have,
That's
as
all.
we've already talked about tonight, the leisure facilities. There'll come a point where it'll be a struggle to get an appointment at a local GP because we've got people moving into here saying, which GP should I register with? It's
So
as you
so it's
say,
a dormitory.
what Peter Mason referred to as a dormitory town. Just a
It is a
place to lay
dormitory
your
town.
head at night and then jump on the Elizabeth line to go to work. And all that you need is in town, It'll be catered to people who can afford private GP appointments, private hospital appointments, and they'll be eating out, going to the cinema in town, and their flat is just a place to sleep and shower. That's it.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm all right, Jack. Sod the rest.
Yep.
I'm all right, Jack. Sod the rest.
Yeah.
You know how
lack of police. Lack of services.
Yeah.
Lack of ambulances.
Yeah.
Hey, doctors, hospital struggling.
Yeah.
Who gives a damn? As long as we got private health.
Exactly. You know how many people, exactly.
You want to know how many people I saw with briefcases in the station this morning? In Southall Station, I saw about 5 or 6 people with briefcases and a coffee in their hands, all smartly dressed up.
Yeah.
London.
No, but Arjun, those are people, okay, who studied, okay, and they probably live in their parents' houses. Do you understand? There's a lot of people who have love for Southall. As somebody asked me, Joe, why do you live in Southall? A couple of weeks ago, and I answered the question like this. I said, when I walk down Southall, my memory, the video that carries in my brain, it plays a film in my mind, in my brain, when I used to walk there with my mother, I used to walk there with my father, I used to walk there with my brother. So we have memories. We can sell up and move somewhere else, but we've got no friends. But we've got no friends where we're going to move. I've got friends that moved into posh areas, and the neighbours don't speak to them.
That's depressing and disheartening and socially isolating. You've got your family, you've got your friends.
Of course, we grew up here.
Yeah. As you said, you've got your memories.
You know my friend Raymond.
Yes, of course I
Yeah.
do.
Well, one evening I met somebody, a friend of mine, and we were chatting for quite a while. And when we walked away, Raymond asked me, "How long have you known that person?" I said, "Raymond, me and him used to play marbles."
Yeah.
We used to play marbles, right? So we're not going to get that anywhere else, you know?
That's the worst thing, is to move to an area
Of
and
course.
you feel disconnected to the community because you don't know anybody. There's a
No.
lack of clubs and facilities. Yeah, it's hard.
Speaking of
Speaking, can
not in-
I just share something with you?
speaking
It
of
appears that Peter Mason's mum lives relatively locally, somewhere in Ealing. And in this particular Facebook group, she asked about a shop that sells food close to the use-by date. And a few people mentioned there's a shop that used to be on the site of Lidl on the Broadway. And she asked about driving there, which, you know, made me chuckle a bit, because she said, "Oh, is there a car park?" And so, yes, there's a car park. No mention of, you know, what bus goes to, I don't know the name of the store, but the store which is on the Lidl site. And I just thought, yet another person driving into Southall, clogging up the roads without a care in the world. And I hope, sounds terrible, that they will travel when the traffic is bad, and they will think twice about traveling by their own vehicle, and that they'll use the buses that serve the Uxbridge Road instead.
Yeah, her son wants us to cycle everywhere. And
Exactly
her son
that.
wants us to walk. And her son wants us to walk everywhere.
She specifically talked about driving to the shop. And is there a car park there?
There is a car park at the back.
Yeah. But, you know, I thought I'd share that with you. I can't say definitively that's his mother, but the evidence points towards this particular individual being Peter Mason's mother.
Peter Mason is expecting me to walk at my really slow pace, 12 hours over 2 days. Because at traveling with my hurt foot, he's expecting me to walk to and from university in Ealing, in Warwick Road in Ealing, from Greenland Crescent to Ealing. He expects me to walk 3 hours. It's going to take me to do that at my pace.
My dad, this is bringing to mind what my late father used to say, and it was, do as I say, don't do as I do. Yeah, and that's the same with these politicians.
They're hypocrites.
Yeah.
They're hypocrites.
Yeah.
You know, that's all there are, hypocrites.
Yeah.
Only they know how to live, we don't. So
that's it. But, you know,
when it comes to our vote, we'll have to teach them a lesson.
Yeah, and you know, this meeting, which is being recorded, will go down in history along with all the other meetings, which counteracts their propaganda. But I'm conscious of the time. Do you think we can bring the meeting to a close now? I think we've done well to discuss all that we've discussed in 2 hours. So as usual, I will share the recording on social media and directly with all the elected councillors for Southall, and I'll even share it with Virendra Sharma.
Do you ever get an answer back from them, Angela? Do you ever get an answer from them?
No, but I suspect they will be curious, especially in the run-up to an election, to see what we are talking about.
So you think they can't read?
Well, if you can't listen, Joe, that's for sure.
If you send it, because I've had a resident tell me that he's written to Ealing Council, he hasn't had a reply. He's written to the local councillor, he hasn't had a reply. So I'm thinking, are these people blind and deaf at the same time?
they're arrogant and dismissive. Yeah. But anyway, let's call
They've
let's
got away
call
with
it.
it far too long.
Yeah, yeah.
They've
let's
got away
call
with it far too long.
Exactly. But we'll carry on doing what we're doing. I think as long as we live in Southall, we'll use the Southall Matters Forum to be our voice. And we will speak freely about whatever we have. Arjun, it doesn't mean we will have solutions, yeah, or even strategies to move forward, but I think just sharing and talking about what we think is important connects us even more strongly. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll be at the post office on Saturday morning.
Okay.
Okay, in the morning we'll be there. If you guys want to come and listen to the public, and you'll see the support that we're gaining.
Yeah, yeah,
when you speak to the residents, and you'll certainly get an experience that I'm getting.
Yeah,
so
and I know with you it will never be a photo opportunity.
No,
and people, as you say, with awareness of what's happening, will know that the local politicians are just exploiting it. People are not daft. Yeah. But anyway, let's draw it to a close for tonight. Appreciate you coming along and talking about the issues that matter to us. I'll share the recording as soon as possible. And next month I'll be much more organised to promote the meeting well in advance. But thank you for coming along at such short notice. But I felt we had to squeeze it in for February. Take care. Good night. Good night, Arjun. Good night, Joe. All the best. All right. Take care for now. Bye.
Quickly with you, Ange.
Yeah.